Welcome to Smutty Scriptures, the podcast where three best friends gather together to explore the holy text of fantasy romance novels. I'm Head Priest Blue Cromwell, and I am joined by my sisters in sin, Cuddlefish and Purple Space Cat, to tell you all about our thoughts on this episode's sacred text. We are finally at the end of the Throne of Glass series. I have loved the ride of Kingdom of Ash, and we are going through, what was it, chapter 67 through this first part here? So the entirety of part
67.
1. And this is our last little bit here with Aelin, Rowan, and the whole gang, and I have loved the journey, but I'm ready to get some resolution.
Oh, yes.
For some of these characters and for some of these storylines for sure. But how are you guys feeling now that we're getting to the very end of our first series for the Smutty Scriptures podcast?
Say it's bittersweet. This is a very emotional section.
Sure.
There's a lot of stuff going on, of course, because it's the last book. And, you know, the meme where it's Sarah J. Maas is like the last 100 pages is like the bank exploded.
Yep. Keep holding my hand.
I feel like that's this whole book because the whole thing is like the last however many pages of the whole story.
Mm-hmm.
We're coming to an end and seeing a lot of the things that we've been kind of hinting towards or that she's been kind of walking and dancing in circles around for the last couple of books kind of coming to a head.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really emotional round, and I can tell you part 2 is going to be even worse.
Oh, yeah. It's going to get worse before it gets better for sure.
It's just like a storm.
Yeah, finally on our last book of the series, though. I've really liked the ride. I'm glad we decided to go through this book series. I do feel like it's a kind of a book talk classic. And obviously we love ACOTAR, so going through another one of that author's works has been really fun. I am very much looking forward to a break. We will be going through a bunch of... This is the smuttiest smut, the stupidest, smuttiest shit we could find.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm really excited. We've already picked out some really cool titles, so you guys will definitely, you know, once we get into season 2 of our podcast here, we'll have a fun little break of going through less serious work. We will definitely go to, you know, sometimes we read something serious. Sometimes we go through, like, I really want to read Ice Planet Barbarians one day.
Yes.
You know, sometimes you got to be silly and, you know.
Remember, Purple's got the one about the baryonyx dinosaur one.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to get into some lowbrow work, perhaps, compared to maybe a more traditional fantasy, which is good, though. It's good for a change of pace. So since we're getting into the last book here for part 1, general thoughts, impressions, how are we feeling? I do agree with what you said earlier as far as the whole thing has felt like the typical last 100 pages of a Sarah J. Maas novel, which does make sense. But
like I said before, I think it's really emotional. There's a lot of pieces of this that I was crying, you know, and that was actually the first time that Throne of Glass got me with the tears and like officially rolling down my face. And I had to stop and go to my husband and I was like, would you do that? Would you say it was a worm? Again, just a roller coaster emotionally. And gosh, all of Aelin's journey with the torture.
Oh my God, yeah. Did you forget the word for torture?
I did. I was like, stab.
You know,
I was like, what is it called?
The prolonged stabbing, I guess you can.
Yeah. I did. I forgot the word for torture. To be honest, though, I feel like in part 1, where obviously we're starting off and Aelin is in captivity and she does, you know, get freed, and the transition from who she was to who she is now, and some of the responses of her, well, of herself, the way that she describes what she's going through and the way that Rowan reacts to her is, in my opinion, really, really reminiscent of sexual assault or rape victims and survivors and having gone through that. And to me, I think that was unexpected for Sarah J. Maas, that we went and we're kind of getting this, I don't want to say like bird's eye view, but we're kind of getting this connection to that journey and the healing with that and how complicated it is and how stressful it is and how much you know, want to maybe reach out and touch your loved one and give them a hug, but that might not be the best decision. You know, we kind of had a little bit of that with Lysandra, but now I feel like with Aelin, it's whole onion peeled back and now we can kind of see a little bit more deeper, and that was just really, really emotional. But I think that was a big theme of what's going on is this different kind of healing that we're seeing.
Yeah, I will say I love getting to know like Rowan's point of view in those moments, like him just so outwardly being like, I don't care if they're never the same person again. I won't ever love them any less than what I did.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Mhm.
so, if you've been through that level of trauma or can relate to Aelin in any way in that sense, having just the idea that that is possible for someone to love you in that way is so powerful, because sometimes things happen in life that change us. And
to
that's
be
part
so
of life.
patient,
Yeah.
you know?
Mhm.
Like he was so patient with it and he was so gentle and aware. And I think
Yeah.
that was so beautiful. Now, I already was so very much on Team Rowan anyways,
Right.
but with the way that he is approaching it, and even then some of the other members of the parties were kind of questioning his thoughts and checking in and seeing where he's at with it. And he is just so convinced within himself that this is just another thing that is like a bump in the road almost, and they're going to weather the storm and he's here for her no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And that is just, that's crazy to me. That's awesome. And I loved it.
Yeah.
I love that he believes that their relationship is so resilient and unshakable.
Yeah.
That's why he be broing.
Oh my God.
Well, but yeah, even
I can't be serious all the time. Give me a break.
No,
you know,
you're good.
chapter 37, he, even when he really wants to plow his wife, he even ends up asking her, can I kiss you? May I kiss you? On page 326. It's such a small thing, but when you've been through something that's like all of your agency has been robbed and you don't have choices, and you know, just being able to have say in who and what circumstances you're able to be touched is incredible. And there's a
Yeah.
couple other things I'm going to look for really quick in the book, and I'll point out too.
No problem. Yeah, it's definitely very healing. Aelin takes a long time to even, know that reality is happening
reality.
around them. Yeah. So going from that to trying to give them agency and choices again is very it's quite the healing arc. I mean, I'm ready for revenge, but healing is fine and dandy, but when are we getting to the murder?
Yeah.
Getting to the murder. I'll tell you what, I about murdered Adian, but we'll get to that in a minute.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Rowan and Fenris, man, the unsung hero.
Man, crazy stuff.
He is a good boy.
The best boy.
The best almost dead boy.
He's fine.
That was pretty crazy. I was not ready for that, but I loved how she did the oath to save him. I was very much ready for him to go in the story as far as my predictions were concerned.
Yeah, I didn't know if he was going to make it out of that one. I'm glad he did. I'd like to see him around. I mean, especially with his connection to Aelin through this event. Obviously, they both went through two very different things. Yeah. Obviously, Aelin going through months of torture and then Fenris having to watch. But he also had his own events during those 2 or 3 months span of, damn. I hope he gets a happy ending and something nice happens, because goddamn.
Page 304, which is in my book, it's chapter 35, I think. And in my book, that's 304 that I'm looking at. There's 2 pieces that's on this little section here. One at the top, when she asked how long she had been gone, he did not even have to spend a second. And he automatically knew 2 months, 3 days, and 7 hours. He was counting hours that they were just away. And that's so fucking romantic. Talking about how they healed her and had her hair longer than what it was. And he offered to cut it back to the previous length so she could have some semblance of what she used to look like, because they took all of her scars away. Mm-hmm. And for a character like Aelin, I almost feel like those scars in some ways were her story and were her identity, and they removed that from her, and it's almost like they removed pieces of her history away from her. And the fact that he was offering to give a little piece of who she used to be back was really, really sweet. And then at the very bottom, he'd say, He didn't blame her. He knew it would take time and distance to heal the internal wounds, if they could ever really heal at all. So he is well aware that she may never be who she used to be, and he's okay with that.
Yep.
But he'd work with her, help in whatever way he could, and if she never returned to who she had been before this, he would not love her any less. I think that right there is
Carol
probably...
could never.
Oh my God. Listen, how sad was it that Rowan's scars on Aelin were the last to go, and it was because she thought he wasn't coming back for her? Bitch, I was like, Maeve, I'm gonna kill you myself, dog. You got me fucked up. That was so horrifically sad.
I kind of love that she saved herself, though.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I think we gotta hand a little bit of that to Fenris, though.
Oh, of course.
I think it was a joint effort.
Yeah. Yeah, even just knowing like how Rowan describes it, of what was so horrible that was going to happen to Aelin, that Fenris did the impossible. Fuck, dude, that's so... Fenris is a real one. This is crazy. That was so emotional.
And I also like that Aelin is also afterwards, like on page 348, I don't remember what chapter this is. This is chapter 41 for me. Rowan was saying, why didn't you fall for Maeve's depictions of me and you in this happy story that she was painting inside of your head? And why didn't you do it? And she says, the male I fell in love with was you. It was you who knew the pain as I did and who walked with me through it back to the light. Maeve didn't understand that even if she could create the perfect world, it wouldn't be you with me. And I'd never trade this, not for anything. I just, their love story is so cute. And then on the very next page is where I think for me, if it had been my pick for Bay of the Day, this would have done it for me. Is when Aelin is referring back to the fact that for the lock, it would take her life. And Rowan interrupts her and says, we'll face it together. He swore again. And if the cost of it truly is you, then we'll pay it together as one soul in two bodies. Even if I had my choice of any dream realities, any perfect illusions, I would still choose you.
Do you think that's maybe foreshadowing?
I'm trying not to...
Like a really romantic Pokemon.
Oh my God.
Here I am trying to... I'm getting all emotional and you're... Leave it to Purple to get the chaos.
Hey, no problem.
Yeah, this was just really, really emotional for me.
Yeah, I thought that was really beautiful. I almost was like, is that foreshadowing for... Obviously, we understand Irene and Kale's bond in a way, how intrinsically their lives are involved. I was like, oh, are they going to do the same thing for them? But I stand with my prediction. Aelin will live. I think she'll lose all her powers, because I think Sarah J. Maas, she likes to make really powerful characters, and then yoink, no you're not. And then they reward them with babies.
Gross.
And I'm like, thank you, Sarah. Yay. Thanks. Or like the idea of babies, you know what I mean? Like she's so about it, which is fine. Like Nesta, they're like, remember how you were very powerful? Snatch. They're going to do the same fucking thing with Aelin. I can feel it in my bones, brother.
Yeah. I was thinking, in a way, she's already kind of died.
Yeah, she's been through enough. Just count it, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I have some serious thoughts and weird pieces in the text about the gods and all of that around too. But we'll get into that soon, I guess.
Yeah, we'll go into
like a whole other thing.
Fair. What about you, Purple? For your general impression of this first part, how are you feeling?
What, you mean like physically?
I mean, if that's how you would like to answer the question, that's fine.
Yeah, it's a good book.
Okay, that's
hold on.
Wow.
Okay, not a lot of thoughts for the end of season 1 of the Smutty Scriptures podcast, but I totally get it.
Okay, so I just Lysandra is a motherfucking bamf.
Always
she even gets kitty cat armor.
Oh my God.
I was reading it and I was kind of like, okay, I absolutely love this, but it feels kind of like microtransaction-y.
Oh my God.
What?
Like you buy horse armor, remember? You just said now it's cat armor. But I loved it though. And I marked it in the book and I was like, she is so motherfucking badass. I loved that. I think that was probably my most favorite takeaway moment so far of the book, actually, because my girl be strong as fuck.
True.
And then she gets armor. I just thought that was like peak vibes for me. It's very romantic, this book. Not at this exact moment in a super touchy-feely mood, but I marked those romantic thingies and I was like, aw. So I was feeling it at the time. So yay, romance. Yep.
Okay, I'll let Sarah know how you feel.
I do want to say that I love so much that Sarah did her due diligence, and within the first few chapters on page 19, we got an update on the puppy.
Oh my god.
Puppy was fine.
Is Fleetfoot okay?
Is fatter than a lazy house cat. I was like, good man, treating the puppy right. I don't want to give away my pick, but I will say that just because of how he treated the goodest puppy, Lord Martov, Mr. Molotov man was definitely a person I was like, well, he was kind to the puppy, so maybe he's Bay of the Day.
Okay.
He didn't win, but
I was about to say,
thinking about it.
There's a lot of characters in contention right now. I'm surprised that made the top 3 even.
Listen,
obviously the dog is important. God. The most vital character. The second only is the sky puppy. Okay, so I have my priorities straight, and obviously Mr. Molotov man does too.
Personal question. Do you have a hard time relating to other people? Like, you always seem to pick the ones that are animals or animal adjacent. Is there something we have to unpack there? The whole purple space cat thing? What's going on there?
I don't really like people.
That's as far as we want to go into it right now. Okay, just think about food for thought.
Lysandra can turn into a cat.
Exactly. That's why I said animal adjacent.
She's also a people.
Yeah.
So she's the bridge between the worlds. So, and she has armor.
I feel like you're gonna make us read like warrior cats or something next.
Thundercat porn.
Oh my god! Don't put that in my head. You guys will hate me. We will end the podcast. Okay, so for real, for all jokes aside, the book is going good. I'm trying to reserve my judgments for the second half, second part, because it is obviously Sarah J. Maas, and she does like to throw you for a loop and everything.
Sure.
I also don't like being wrong about people.
Okay.
So I don't
Which is
like to...
interesting, because the minute someone breathes wrong, you're like, wow. So why don't you just hold back a little bit?
I didn't say that it was a perfect system.
I literally asked you in one of the episodes, I was like, literally, I asked you what Kale did wrong, and you said breathed. I said, hello. Like, purple, slow down.
That was fair and reasonable.
Oh my god. Don't use my quote against me.
I just have to point out that I was 100% right about Nehemia, so...
No, you weren't.
Being the worst character in the entire book.
Ugh. Listen. Welcome to the last episode. Oh my god. Can't do this.
Blue, did you happen to have like a favorite part or like a least favorite part?
Yeah, there's so much that happens that it's really difficult to make me like pinpoint like one specific. Like, I loved watching Irene be fucking mad as hell with Kale's dad.
Right?
Oh my god, she was vicious. I was like, yes, queen. And then I love the scene with Aylin's mom speaking to her through, you know, her little spirit realm, little vision, not aware of reality thing that was happening. I thought that was beautiful. So loved that part. I think though, I mean, it's kind of an obvious moment, but I like it for maybe some of the subtext, I guess, there. I think my favorite moment is I love a strong female lead. The minute that Aylin fucking boils a whole fucking lake, brother, for fucking like, well, one, it's cool because like obviously she's saving all these people's lives, and of course like Aylin is so powerful, and like she could.
I mean, okay, but hold on. Did she though? Because I said this right before we went live, but really she just took a quick and relatively painless death and made it into one that would be not as quick and definitely not as painless by boiling the people alive with the steam.
Rowan pushed that stuff away. She knew he was going to do that. They talk mentally. Okay. They weren't texting back and forth in their brain.
But really, I just feel that it was really Rowan who saved the day, because Aelin just kind of was like, nah, I got this, and then it was just going to make it so much worse.
No, because, okay, well then, even if you want to say that, Cashin's army would have been fucking destroyed by the water and not the steam, because they were nowhere near close enough to be affected by that. So even if that were true, she saved enough lives for it to be a really cool moment. To see her power get to that level is really cool. But what I liked about it the most is it really reminded me of Heir of Fire. We have this kind of reoccurring theme with Aelin where
she's got fire.
Yes.
It's almost as if there's magical powers.
Goofy. No, it reminds me of the scene where Rowan is trying to get her to transform and to use her abilities, and Aelin's in the middle of her arc of, I hate myself, I hate everything, I'm the fucking worst, I'm trash. And the minute she tries to use her powers, it's to save Rowan, right? They're running away and they're like in danger. And Rowan even asks her, is like, why were you able to do that now and not in the fucking months of training that we've done? And she's like, you know, she is a very self-sacrificing character in that way. She's like, I'm not going to protect myself, but I'm not going to let you die because of me. And I think that's a really beautiful part of Aelin. And the scene reminded me of it, like that moment of, she had gone back in through a similar arc. Obviously, this is more of a torture, not so much like a self-hatred arc for Aelin, but the same feeling where people are waiting for her to use her power and she's like uncomfortable with it. And she has a lot of thoughts on it. She's avoiding using her power. She's fighting with swords. She's still a badass warrior regardless. And it just reminded me of that. Aelin not being able to fight for herself, but then seeing Alid and Lorcan on that fucking field about to die. And she does the impossible. Like, she's always willing to do things like that and to put herself in harm's way for other people, but rarely finds that for herself. And I just thought it was what a beautiful arc for Aelin to go through. From Heir of Fire to now, it was, chef's kiss. So, cool moments aside, but.
I do have to echo the other piece that you had mentioned that was a really good piece. See, my favorite... God, I feel like I'm going to be the emotional, sappy one of the evening of this episode. But when Aelin's mom in chapter 12 came to her in her head, her voice, and she said, "Fireheart, why do you cry?" Like, the mom in me fell to fucking pieces, because as a mom, I can put myself in her spot, and like I could hear exactly the tone and the cadence of this conversation, and then Aelin just saying, "Because I'm lost and I do not know the way." Oh my god, I lost it. And then for her mom to end up saying on page 120 for me, "You do not yield." And I had seen that all, on a bunch of merch or whatever, but I was waiting for it to come into play.
Yeah.
And the fact that you do not yield came into play from her mom and not Rowan and not, another character, I just thought was fantastic and perfect. I fucking loved it. It gave me goosebumps. I was crying. It was the whole thing, because it was perfect. It was perfectly written. And I don't even know if Sarah has kids, but if she does, that was exactly what that sounds like.
I believe she does. But I did think that was beautiful. And the scene too, with Manon, where she's imagining, maybe not imagining, but understanding their presence is there with her mom on one side and her dad on the other. I mean, wow. Some cool shit come into play. Very emotional. And yeah, it had a lot to do with that mother and father bonds to children. It was very, you're pulling on my heartstrings, Sarah. What are you doing over there?
I see you.
Yeah, but how beautiful, though, for Aelin to have that moment. I hope she doesn't hear her voice, though, for another 1,000 years. I hope she stays alive and is fine and happy and healthy and everything's fine. But
my favorite moment came in on page 480, which is in our scriptures, the very end of chapter 56. because that was when Manon was finally crowned Queen of Witches. And I just, with beating up, fucking up her, with Manon sticking it to the 3 dicky matron lady people, and then bringing together, even though it's a small populace, the good witch people and the bad witch people, bringing all of them together. It says the Queen of Witches. They declared as one voice, as one people. I was just like, oh, I love that. I love that so much.
Oh, 100%. Manon for
gave me chills.
Yeah. I fucking loved it. And seeing her with the crown and everything was really nice.
I want a crown that glows.
We can find you one.
But I don't want no stupid princess glowy crown that takes batteries.
Oh my God.
It's got to be powered off of stars or nothing.
All right, I'll do my best. I'm not sure what they have on Amazon, but I'll take a look. But yeah, Manon's arc to this whole story has been something. I will say there are a lot of moments that I like. Like, I loved that moment for her, and Manon having that sense of family going into it was really great. But actually, my least favorite part, I think, was maybe Manon lying at first to the witches that she did not purposely lead the other group of witches there to kill them. That way they could defend them.
Yeah.
Because she's like, I don't have time to make friends. And I was like, Manon, you're resorting back to old ways, and you're killing people, your cousins. They may be related to you. I know she didn't really know the full extent of it at that point, and she did feel a lot of guilt at that point, where she's like,
she's working on it. She's a work in progress.
That's a lot of work.
She'll get there in the end.
It was
what?
tough.
It's honestly very Nehemia.
Oh my God, brother! Listen,
wow, go jump off a cliff.
Oh,
with the Braxis.
No. But everyone listening right now, you can send hate mail to the Smutty Scriptures Instagram about this slander that is occurring right now. But yeah, I didn't love that because it just felt like maybe a step backwards. And Manon obviously does some things to atone, like she and her witches, with their iron nails, like are digging like mass graves and shit. I think parts of it are really beautiful. I thought Manon was a lot further along in her journey. And then that moment was not great.
Yeah.
I respect Dorian's response to it. He's like, kind of like, well, I can't fucking do anything about it now. Like, I get what you did, and this is war. There's really nothing you can do. Like, it doesn't benefit the situation to tell the truth, really. At that stage, I think that's, what's done is done. But it was just kind of disappointing. Everything else with her was cool, though. But I was like, fuck, man, Manon, those could be your homies, dog. I'm sorry you have to hang out with him for a little while. Like, damn.
Gross. Ew.
Yeah.
People would rather be hanging out with this sky puppy.
Oh my God.
See? Manon and I.
Goofy.
She gets me.
Do you guys have a least favorite part?
I do. I loathe that Adian called Lysandra useless. If I could reach into a book and strangle a fucking character, and the fact then that he put her out basically naked in the snow on her fucking knees, bro, like, oh my God.
In human form, no less, not snow leopard form.
I'm gonna be honest. I was really rooting for them. I am not anymore because in my heart, I don't think Adian can come back from that. I really don't. I recognize that he feels like shit and he's really stressful and stuff like, but that doesn't give you a right to treat people like shit, especially someone like her doing. And I'm not very much in the like, woohoo, I totally agree with the two of them kind of just assuming that this is, like, we're going to go and you're going to be me after I'm gone. No. I don't like that. But the fact that he said that to her and then put her out in the snow is just, I don't think he can come back. I'm out. Like Tamlin, I'm out.
It's tough for me with that scene. Because both people like fucked up. To assume Adian would be okay with that whole scenario, knowing damn well his fucking trauma around paternity and children and family, that is really fucked up of Lysandra and Aelin to force him into a certain position to be like, hey, go ahead and procreate with that person. Also, they're not your kids, but like they will be, but like don't act like it's like a very, very complex situation. that's not great. And he is so like Aelin in the way that he'll lash out. Like, it's almost reminiscent to the scene where, you guys remember when Aelin told Rowan his people deserved to die in genocide? And then he punched her in the face? Remember. That was Airfire.
Oh, okay.
And she was like, yeah, she said if Faye, Faye like you deserve to die, basically, in like this, because they were talking about the king of Ardalan and everything like that. And it's like the same fucking energy for both of them, where they always fucking go too hard. Like, they get hurt, and granted, both those characters separately were harmed in those interactions, but they will so quickly take it to 100. It's not even fucking funny.
Yeah.
God bless Rowan for punching her in the face. That shit was crazy. And that's why I'm not so quick to write off Adian, because of... I forgave Aelin for excusing genocide. I guess I can excuse Adian for being a dick. As long as he pays his penance, I mean, I don't think he should just be like, sorry. Like, I think there should be a more satisfying emotional resolution there.
No, it's just my bad, bro.
Down, sorry. No. I didn't know you were cool like that. He said,
"Oh, about that, yeah."
Oh, did I do that? That's crazy. So,
oh shit, that was you.
They're so fucking similar, though. It's like insane.
My least favorite part in the book happened very quickly. It was in the beginning of chapter 9. If you will turn to page 99 of our scriptures. Up at the very top, it starts with talking about Fenris. His gray jacket was unbuttoned at the top. It gaped open wide enough to reveal a hint of the muscled chest beneath, as if he hadn't bothered to seal it back up in his hurry to leave. Her stomach turned over, what he'd undoubtedly had to do afterward, with his twin's body still laying on the veranda tiles behind him. I didn't know he hated me so much, Fenris rasped. And I know that nothing was like expressly said, but yeah.
Yeah, I think at one point he says something along the lines of, she made him attend her in the pool of his brother's blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty fucked up, Maeve. Pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that was I needed to take a break to keep from throwing the book in the trash. And I was like,
I was like, Reese, is that you?
Oh, no.
Yeah, I said, my tag here, I said, is this Amarantha or Maeve?
The answer is unfortunately yes.
So that's a really good question I want to pose to you guys. Who was worse?
Oh, Maeve or Amarantha?
Amarantha or Maeve?
Maeve. 1000% Maeve.
I almost feel like body count wise, Amarantha's killed more people. So that's not great.
Yeah, but
Maeve has had, she's done wars and stuff under her command.
I have some thoughts.
Go ahead.
I think that Maeve is 1000% worse, but I don't hate Maeve.
Do you understand where her character's kind of coming from?
I understand. I can kind of get it, especially when she had the story and stuff. Now, first of all, I have a huge prediction around Maeve that we're going to end up seeing, and I have the quotes to back it up. But
I'm sorry, did you bring receipts?
I did. I brought all of the receipts. Yes, I did. But and we'll get to that in a bit. But I can kind of understand where she's coming from and why she's doing what she's doing. Do I think that she's making great decisions? No, of course not. But I understand it, so I don't hate her.
Yeah, it was good to hear, like, for the audience, I guess, her story in Aelin's dreamscape world, because we've been wondering for a long time kind of her motivations and more information around her. So who better to have told that story than Maeve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Definitely can't excuse her actions, but it is, knowing her backstory now, I'm like, yeah, I'd have probably left there too. Damn. You got pretty fucked up here, but oof, wouldn't want to live there either.
Well, she didn't have to go and like take over a whole fucking country continent thing and then like go start wars with people and then like, do all of the shit that she got doing, and then she Fenris and the blood and the twin thing and she don't have to do the things she's doing. Those are actual choices that she making because she doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the worst thing that Amarantha did was bully an illiterate kid. Go ahead and read, Farah, you fucking idiot. And then Farah's sitting there doing her little math. She's like, I'm going to pull the second lever because me and Tamlin, that makes 2. Hee hee hee. Reese is like, please fucking stop. Please.
You're really making me want to go back and read ACOTAR again.
We have to do a reread one day because it's going to be so crazy going
Monday?
One day.
Monday. Series in one day.
Don't tempt me.
One of these days. No, but...
Sorry, boss. Cough, cough. I don't feel so good. Cough, cough. What am I sick with? It's ACOTARs. It's the ACOTARs.
The new disease. Yeah, I mean, both of them are fucked up, Amarantha and Maeve. So I would have to reread ACOTAR and then fully understand what Amarantha, like the scope of it, and then maybe decide, but not great either way.
Okay, what did you guys think? It's the very last thing that I tagged, but it's
me in a TikTok?
Page 583 for me. It's at the end of chapter... Well, it's at the very end of the selection, so 67. But it's when we find out on 583 that Kale's dad took all the letters from his mom.
Fucked
up. Fuck that guy.
Up. But what surprised me was Kale's response. And he was just, all he did was, why? And he didn't run to go get them. And his dad was trying to hold it over his head as his last ditch effort to make some stuff happen. And Kale was just like, wow, you're an asshole. And then left.
Yeah, you fucking suck.
Refused. I feel like that was him kind of finally overcoming his dad and their relationship because he had no power over him anymore. And Kale didn't allow him that. And I thought that was pretty cool. But I mean, fuck his dad, man.
Mm-hmm.
Have to say, and don't crucify me for this, but that reaction where he said, keep the letters. Now that she's left you, it might be your only way to remember her.
Damn, yeah.
I don't make bargains with bastards. I'm certainly not going to start with you.
He took a note from his wife.
but this right here, this clapback at his dad, I was like, all right, maybe I like Kale a little bit.
It was a good scene.
It only took me all of part 1.
Yeah, it only took everything he had to give.
Last book.
Do you know there was another part that surprised me that I fucking loved? I thought it was funny, hilarious on page 464, where Dorian had just turned himself into a woman.
Yeah.
It was the first thing that I'm like, damn it, Dorian.
He's still a boy.
He was half tempted to find a tent and learn firsthand what certain things felt like.
Ew.
How very predictable.
I mean, okay, be so real right now. If you could transform into a dude right now, you wouldn't touch your own penis? Be so fucking for real.
If I turned into a dude, I think I would go get a new job.
Damn, get higher pay.
Beyonce said, if I were a boy.
If I woke up one day, I'm stroking my shit as a dude, bro. I gotta figure out what it's like. I want to know what's happening.
No, I need to go update my tax information.
Listen, I feel like that's
I want to go get my privilege card.
I did like how he was very turned on by the fact that he was smaller than Manon at those scenes and stuff. Her hand normally is so much smaller than my blah blah all this.
Yeah.
I was like, you kinky bastard. But also he would kind of be like a bisexual switch's dream, which is me. I'm like, you know what? What if you transformed for me real quick? Be a girl today. Be boy tomorrow. Whatever you want to experiment with, that's fine. You want to mix and match parts? Cool.
I want to see something.
Yeah. I'm trying to see something. A lot of something. But that would be very cool for me, personally. So I will say I did enjoy that part. It's a little predictable. Dorian's still that fuck boy deep down.
I thought it was funny. Yeah. He's a fuck boy. I love that.
I did laugh at Rowan once, at least. On page 61, he was talking about how relationships have been changing with him and his dude friends. And he said, strange. It was still strange to work with the lion, with Lorcan, without the bonds of Maeve's oath binding them to do so. To know that they were here by choice. What it now made them, Rowan wasn't entirely certain. And I was like, friends?
No, I don't know about that.
Well, way to put a label on it, okay? Like,
yeah, dude, what the
we're just not ready for that stuff in our relationship.
They've only been alive a couple hundred years. Like, I don't rush into anything crazy.
I was just like, wow, man, you are you good? Do you want to talk about it?
Goofy. Can I talk about something that I feel like was supposed to surprise me, but fucking didn't?
What?
The pregnancy.
Ugh.
Like, okay.
I don't want to.
Sarah, I get it. Sarah loves happy endings, and she loves to reward her favorite characters with babies. She fucking eats that shit up. The minute Rowan had that vision of, like, Aelin's pregnant with their 5th child or some shit crazy, I was just like, honestly, and when I first read that scene, I was like, wow, Sarah loves Aelin so much, because I know what kids mean to Sarah in that sense. Like, that's like these characters' ultimate goals. It is a very beautiful thing. Do I love pregnancy tropes? No. But the reason specifically I wasn't surprised with the whole Chaol and Yrene moment was a lot of it boiled back to, this is going outside of the text. This is an interview I think we've actually referenced with Sarah J. Maas before, where she talks about how if she could take characters from different franchises and put them together, how Feyre and Chaol would be a very good couple. And she's like, oh my God, I want to read fan fiction about them. She just like thinks that that's a pairing that would work. And I could see it. Her reasoning made sense. But the minute I heard that, I was like, because she rewarded Feyre with a little baby.
Yeah.
And Chaol, okay, he's next. Like, they feel the characters that Sarah would give children to at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the minute, dude, when Rowan had that fucking vision of all their kids, and there were so many of them, I was like, Sarah fucking loves Aelin. That's why I know she's not going to die. She's not. That's her baby. That's a character that's been with her probably half her life. Because she like came up with her, what, at like 16?
Yeah. Plus, she also had an interview here recently. She somebody was like, "Oh, Throne of Glass is done, right?" And then she was like, "Is it? I don't know.
Yeah.
Is it?"
She said she missed them. She was like, "Oh, I don't know."
So I don't know how she would. Surprise! We're all back again.
Yeah,
if they died.
Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't mind when they did, like, with the ACOTAR books, where they did the Frost and Starlight, like, Christmas episode version of the books. It'd be kind of nice after years of war and torture and drama, just to see these characters, like, in Terrasen. Maybe they have one baby so far and they're chilling. Like, it would be really nice to see them in a peaceful place. But I felt like when Yrene was like putting her little hand on her abdomen, doing her thing, that was supposed to be like, Sarah's like, oh, no one thinks I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, Sarah, this was the most predictable ass shit. Like, this big reveal where Chaol's dad is like, hey, you know your wife's pregnant, right? You know, like that whole big reveal. I'm like, shut up. Yeah, obviously. Yeah, fucking obviously. So, you know, congrats to them.
Speaking of Yolanda and her father-in-law, it was the funniest fucking thing in the world. Whenever she was like, "Oh, I wanna watch, and then I'll bring snacks."
Oh yeah,
on page
that was
page 454.
Right? Yeah, with Aelin talking to the dad.
Yeah, when she was when he was gonna meet Aelin.
Yeah, oof.
She's like, "I'll bring the popcorn."
She had drama.
And then Sarah made sure to note later that whenever she did go, she did not in fact bring snacks. And I was like, damn, you missed your opportunity.
Hate to see it. If they would have had snacks, then it would have been the perfect scene. Goofy.
That's what makes it. And then a little while later, though, on 456, I thought it was the funniest fucking thing. Whenever Aelin was like, "No, but your son is hand of the king, which means he outranks you." Haven't you told him that?
That's crazy.
I was like, damn, girl, eviscerate him.
She roasted him. She said no fire necessary, first of all. Got his ass.
Did you notice that she got another name?
Yes.
The fairy queen of the West.
Yeah. Fucking, of course. Sarah said you can have
Rowan
as many
got a couple
titles for as
names.
many babies as you have. Okay, we're gonna have 20
Ew.
babies. You're gonna have 1,000 years, have 1,000,000 babies.
Did you guys see the little folk coming?
Yes.
Yeah, me too.
Well, they set that up so early and like thrown a glass.
They're just such bays.
Yeah, it was cute though. Like I liked because there's some early moments in like the first book where, you know, they're setting up this special relationship between them as they're journeying back. And I think even like Dorian like calls it out and is like, whoa, that's crazy. So I did feel it. I liked how important they were. I like that they returned her crown to her. That was cool.
Yeah.
But how does that work politically? Like, what does she got to do for them? What does being Fairy Queen of the West mean? Does that like what? She got to go to meetings.
I don't think we have any idea.
She got to go.
She got to go to
taxes.
Yeah, like she's like, do you guys like pay like taxes? Do you guys like do you have like a formal law system? Like, what's kind of like what does that mean, Sarah?
Weekly book studies. Maybe somebody could eventually record it and then put it on the connected, you know, brain waves. They could call it like the interbrain.
Hello. What about favorite characters for this section? I do want to talk about couples as well, but those can be two separate. Just depends what you guys are thinking. I mean, I've kind of said my moment earlier. I think Aelin's got to be my favorite character this section, which is fair. It's her book. It's her story. So I guess Fairy Queen of the West. Sure. You can be my favorite.
Ew.
I don't know what that means, but it's cool. So nobody knows what it means, but it's provocative. So it's cool. So I'm like, this is fine. Probably it's just my favorite right now. I would like to see some cool moments. I'm sure we're going to see a bunch in part 2 of everybody, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And what your favorite Cuddle was, what, Adian?
Yeah, right there with Nehemia.
Oh my god. Listen.
My favorite character, I think, has to be tied.
Okay. Between
Aelin and Rowan.
Good choices for both.
Because of, and that's funny to me because I always have problems. Listen, Sarah, if you're out there, I love the ends of most of your books and I love the endings of your series. However, your main characters in the beginning are whiny little bitches. I fucking hate them.
Who don't know how to solve a puzzle.
I had to beg you to give Feyre a chance, dude. I was like, please. She gets better, please. She learns how to read and how to handle herself.
No, she's my favorite. But
yeah, same with Selena and Aelin.
The fact that I love Aelin so much in this round just because of what she's enduring and how she's kind of keeping it together. So, but I do have a favorite couple, and it is not them.
Is it Alita and Lorcan?
It is.
Yes, fucking go! Dude, me too! I fucking love them! Oh my god, it was so good!
It was one specific part, and if they hadn't had this one specific part, it would not have gone to them. So it all rested on one little bit.
Was it her going to rescue him, or was it his confession on the horse? Okay.
Well, it was his. Well, it was him. But okay, now I believe that we have reason to believe that they are indeed mates. Now, if you turn to me,
hold on a second. Are we talking about? Oh, okay, never mind. I'm with you. My brain took a little vacation. I'm good. Continue.
Okay. If you turn to page 510 in chapter 59, it says she would know. She being the lead, she would know if he were dead. He being, of course, Lorcan. Mm-hmm. She would know it in her heart, her soul, if he were gone. That's one piece right there. Now, a couple pages later, on 516, right? Hellas, this is Fenris is talking to the group. Hellas guards Lorcan, and Aeneath, his consort, watches over Elide. Perhaps they will find each other, because he had said, he had kind of been talking about how they were meant to be together. And the fact that the gods that they're talking about, which now we know are not actually gods, that they are a couple also, I think further pushes them in that direction. So I think that by those things right there, we already know that they are indeed mates. That's just further proof. But the next section was that I flagged was 520, a couple pages later. And it's a quote. It says, I promised to always find you. I promised you, and you promised me. I came for you because of it. I am here because of it. I am here for you. Do you understand? And if we don't get onto that horse now, we won't stand the chance against that dam. We will die. And then what's his response? He gets up on the fucking horse. And then on 524, he's going to sacrifice himself, this complete and total jerk, right? He's going to sacrifice himself. In her ear, he whispers, I love you. I have loved you from the moment you picked up that axe to slay the Ilkin. And I will be with you. I will be with you always. I love you. Motherfucker. You big bully, you meaty pants.
And you big old softy.
I cried. I was
so nervous.
Blubbering fucking mess. I was like on the edge of my seat, my couch, and I lost my shit. That's whenever I like took my book and I smacked my husband. I was like, would you do this, please? And he said, of course. And I'm like, that's the only correct answer.
Yeah, that was super sweet. I loved like her knowing that was happening too, because in my head I'm like, Lorcan, you fucking bitch. She went back to save you, don't make it for nothing. And then she fucking gripped her nails and she's like, we're both going down, buddy. We're ride or die, literally, dude. Like we are riding this horse or we're dying. We only have one choice. We're not horsing around here.
Oh.
I did love them though. I put them as my favorite couple. They've been kind of my favorite for a while. I like Lorcan's a complicated character. I'm still mad at him, but he did only like summon people like for a lead. Like I get it. Not great communication. I hate miscommunication tropes, but their love story is so good. And oh my god, it just kind of warmed my heart too leading up into that scene where Alid's like, where the fuck is Lorcan? Because no one looked. And she's like, where is he? And no one fucking moves to go get his ass. And she's hobbling down on her 1 foot, bro. Like, I'm gonna go get him. And I was like, wow. Like, she's just she's a character that's portrayed in such a way that, like, she's supposed to be scared of the world. She was locked away for a long time. And this, like, she has a lot of trauma in and of herself, but she's just, like, never fucking back down. She's like, how would Manon do this? How would Astrid do this?
Can I complain and say, why the fuck is she still injured?
Yeah, that kind of ticks me
Irene
off.
will do it. She did. There is a moment where Irene's like eyesight goes straight to her fucking leg, and I'm like, please fix it. I'm sick and tired.
If she ends the damn book limping, I'm gonna lose my fucking shit.
No, that is a prediction. I think
that's actually why Sarah wants to come back to the book. She's like, ooh, I forgot.
I left a couple strings.
Ooh.
Yeah, I love them. I kind of had a tie for the favorite couple, though. I put Aelin and Rowan, too. They just had so many good moments. The whole stories about them, the whole series, in my mind, as someone who likes romance and, like, looks for media to have that specifically, I think Aelin and Rowan might have one of the best love stories of all time, to be honest. Their love for each other is very pure and very good. It's just very, it's just beautiful. You know,
it really is,
acceptance and the love and the unconditional side of it. And it's beautiful. I would really love to see Heir of Fire written in Rowan's point of view, because that's like the start of their kind of journey. I think that'd be really cool. Like when he makes a reference to where when he bit her that first time, that his blood, like her blood sung to him. I was like, what the fuck? Damn. I knew it, but
I gotta be honest. I think I like Rowan better than Rhys, which is fucking insane because I am so in love with Rhys.
Yeah.
And I think I like Rowan better than Cassian.
Whoa. Rowan's number one.
Wow. Them some spicy words.
Because
they are under Aedion, right?
They are they are so similar though.
Yeah.
You know, and the thing that got me with Cassian was just his himbo, you know, attitude, but also the female empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Rowan doesn't have the himbo, of course, but he does have the female empowerment. So then it's just himbo versus like romantic, whatever. And I think Rowan wins. Ooh,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's my
really
favorite
good character. Yeah.
I do have to say that Rowan just takes the cake for me. He definitely makes that couple. So any couple that has a person in it that I think would smell like mint, they just have to be my favorite couple. Fuck off. He smells like snow and pine trees or some shit. Tell me that's not mint.
He smells like Christmas.
Yeah, we've referred to him as a hot ass Santa Claus before, so.
So Rowan and Aelin are my favorite couple because of that. And I also want to mention on page 570, whenever Aelin was spreading the rumor about him.
It was cute. Yeah.
I wrote, this is adorable and 1000% something I would do. And I love that they don't take themselves super duper seriously all the time.
Yeah, and they have good banter.
I love that. I think that's fantastic.
I agree.
I wish Rowan was in Baldur's Gate 3.
Oh my god.
So I can romance him.
Make him your guardian. Yeah, I agree. I don't know. It would be hard for me to compare Rhys and Rowan. I would probably say
I'd still pick Rhys.
I don't know. Because I think my problem is I'd pick Aelin and I would pick Rhys. Like I would cherry pick, not to be together, but in the sense of I think my favorite main character that we've read so far. We haven't gone through Crescent City and all that jazz yet, but I think I prefer Aelin to all of her like female main characters, though Nesta's probably really close up there. But Rhys does do some things I don't agree with sometimes, so it's tough.
Yeah.
Rowan is a great choice, though. Rowan, he's everything. I don't know. I almost want to say my favorite will be Lucian. I feel like when I get my Elaine book, I'll really like Lucian the most.
I think I'm going to hate Elaine.
Yep. I disagree. I disagree, and I'm saving this sound clip for when we inevitably get to her book, and then you're like, they're so whiny at the beginning, and then Sarah turns it around like she always fucking does, and then you guys are like, oh, wait, I love Elaine, and I'll be like, fucking no.
No,
that's my whole point.
I never said that.
Literally, dude.
No.
Dude.
You know, there was another thing I wanted to bring up, and I just want to talk for just a second about how utterly sad and super depressed Dorian is. On page 286 at the end of chapter 34, when he's been having to like wrestle with his mind about who he wants to be, the only thing that he can come up with is happy. Well, poor little baby. All I wanted to do was just give him a big hug. And it made me so sad because he is just, I mean, of course, then a couple chapters later, he changed into a woman and then wants to fuck himself. But, you know, it's...
He's complex.
He's like such a complex character. But it just made me so sad that he just wanted to be happy. Someone worthy of my friends. A king worthy of his kingdom. For a heartbeat, snow white hair and golden eyes flashed in his head, or his mind. Happy, he whispered and wrapped a hand around Damaris's hilt. Let go of that lingering scrap of terror. The poor little baby.
Yeah, that makes me feel for him, but at the same time, like I like him, I guess even subconsciously thinking about Manon and Dorian as like, Manon is his happiness. That's who he thinks of when he thinks happy. But they were probably my least favorite couple of this section.
Agreed. I was so bored.
On that point, in our scriptures on page 537, whenever he and her talking about getting married, he was like, so you would marry me all so we could aid Terrasen in this war? She said, Aelin is willing to die to end this conflict. Why should she bear the brunt of the sacrifice? And I was just like, God damn, you just said that marrying him is like dying. And the only thing that popped up in my mind is Avatar: The Last Airbender, whenever Zuko is like, oh, that's rough, buddy.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah, that's their dynamic there is very interesting. I loved that scene as far as like Manon's vulnerability and Dorian constantly being, I want you to respond to me in this way. I want you to ask me to do these things. I want you to have that vulnerability. And then in the moment that she does, he's not able to answer her request, I guess, like in a way. Like that was very upsetting, especially when like after Manon is like, I thought we kind of agreed. That's why we kind of did all that. And I was like, oopsie. So she was vulnerable one fucking time in her whole life. She said, I guess we can get married or whatever. And he said, ooh.
After she compared it to dying and sacrificing herself.
Yeah. My thing is like, why not? Like, he's gonna die eventually anyway, and then you can just like live a long life by yourself. Like, it's like a blip in your life. Just get married until death to you part, and then he's gonna die.
Oh no! You got like
stay
30
young
years
and beautiful forever, and then he's gonna fucking get old and fucking die unless they figure something else around that. But I don't think so. So I mean, you know, she wouldn't have to be married for that long.
So you think she should just take one for the team?
Take one for the team, dude.
Oh my god!
Make Dorian happy.
Well, I mean,
she
years. Did put herself on a platter for that.
Yeah,
and then he was like, "Nah."
What if I just go to certain death instead? And she's like, "Oh,
I just don't like them together.
It's not unsalvageable for me, but I get it.
Yeah, same. Oh god, their section was so boring to me, and I was just those are the ones that I tagged the least stuff when I was reading. Mm-hmm. There's a big chunk where it was a lot of them together, and I don't think I tagged a single fucking thing about witches this entire book.
Sure. I did.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah. Not so far. Not things. One thing.
I was trying to be serious. You guys are always the serious ones and talking about like, oh, I have legitimate predictions, and I'm like, I think that there's gonna be another puppy. So, I was all trying to pick stuff out and be like, ooh, I bet they didn't notice this. So I have stuff. I have a couple things.
Okay. I'm sure when we get into our predictions, we'll go through it.
Yeah.
I also want to say, this is also kind of tied, so I'm sorry about that, but Nesrin and Sartak, I guess, just because their sections still don't really stand out to me. Like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, they've been together forever. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, they left the mountains, so I stopped caring.
Yeah, I was just like, okay, like, that's fine. Nesrin and Sartak, that's fine. Good for you guys.
For you.
Go fly around.
I was more interested in the mountains than the couple.
Yeah, I'm more interested in Dorian and Manon than I am Nesrin and Sartak, but at least Nesrin and Sartak, I'm like, okay, well, that's like pretty solidified, you know, that's how that's going to be. So good for Nesrin, honestly.
I miss his ponytail.
Yeah. I hate when the long-haired daddies always fucking get their hair chopped off in these fucking series. Yeah. If they do that to fucking Lucian, I swear to God.
He doesn't have a ponytail, though.
Oh, he just has long hair. Because they took Rowan's long hair away. I hated that.
Yeah. I like long hair.
Yeah, let him keep it. I get it if it's a character moment.
I love a man bun.
Yeah.
Did you guys have any questions? So before we get into any kind of predictions, because I know we all have those. Mm-hmm. Did you have any questions? Like things that you didn't have answered?
I have a lot of questions around like the parent stuff, I guess. Like with Dorian's parent, like his mom, where the fuck is she? Where's his little brother? Why do they keep bringing them up and then not telling me about it? Are they a plot point later? Like, I don't really have enough evidence to really point toward anything specific, but I'm like, where are they? And then Kale's like, came here to see my mom and my sibling or whatever, and like, they're gone. And I'm like, okay, where are these people? Where are they? Where are they? What have they been doing? What do they feel about what's happening?
They're on a retreat?
Are they together? Like, what's
They're on a vacation.
Happening?
Yeah, they're skiing. They went to Colorado.
Yeah. So I'm just kind of like, I would like to know what's kind of going on with that, because I feel like, especially with Dorian's mom and like his brother was like not a plot point, but always something that was referenced as like, can't let him be on the throne because he's going to do X, Y, Z or something like that. And it's like, okay, where the fuck are they, dog? Are they even going to be alive by the time we get back to them? And I would really like to have a scene with Kale and his mom where he's like, hey, remember those letters? Dad fucking did some stupid shit. I would like to have that moment of resolution, but I don't even know if we'll really focus. It's not, obviously there's so many bigger plot points happening in this story that I don't even know if I'll get answers to those.
It'd be nice if Kale's mom and him were reunited and Irene had given birth and the mom holds her grandbaby.
Oh.
And like that's how it ends. No more. they
and
say
then the
their
Vogs
piece.
swoop in and
Nope.
Yeah. It would be nice. What about you guys?
I do have some questions, but Purple, what do you think?
I have a couple. One that I don't think that you guys have probably mentioned ever, and I'm like pretty proud of myself. I feel like I have discovered a new trope.
Okay.
Within this book, the suicide pact. I think that's a new trope because it's in this book a bajillion times. It's in the other book. It's in ACOTAR. I feel like it's a new trope that hasn't been listed anywhere. Kind of like the pregnancy thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely an established thing, and it's dumb. I mean, sometimes it's cute. I'm like, okay.
I worked really hard to pull that out.
I'm just like mad at Reese and Feyre still. I'm like, you're dumb, bro. What if you die? Which, fucking, if you haven't read The Court of Silver Flames, sorry, but.
Oops.
Surprise.
Another question that I had was about Elide, Elsie, Eliza. So she has witch blood in her blood line.
Yeah.
Right. So they're all like, oh my god, because she's human and he's not. But if she has witch blood in her, wouldn't she be long lived?
See, I'm hoping for that.
Long live the lady. Whatever.
Yeah. Well, it's
wouldn't
like
she?
There's a drop of witch blood, so it might not be enough for her to.
But there is foreshadowing for that.
Yeah, there is. I think it's going to happen. Otherwise, her and Lorca together is a hot mess.
Yeah, I think that's why we've spent so much time. When you think about it, we've had one other character have a quote-unquote cycle this whole time where it was like a plot point in the book. And it was Selena when like Kale was like, oh my god, I'm going to bring you cake or whatever. That was a whole moment, right? But with a lead, I think it was Empire of Storms where she mentioned something about having her period be irregular and like what that means and she doesn't want to think about it. And it's like a really quick like 1-2 sentences where she says some shit like that. And we keep going back to the cycles and that whole thing. And I just feel like the only reason we're getting that from a lead is I hope that they're setting something up where, because I know they kind of established some of the lore with the witch stuff, like your power, like that's not going to start until you basically start your cycle. And obviously a lead was living when magic was not a thing and all that stuff. So I almost wonder if
it's catching up.
Yeah. I think it'd be really cool if something with that happened where they kind of, because they've been kind of building up to it for a while. Like at least that 1 or 2 line. I think we pointed it out when we go through the tandem read again, I'll maybe look at it. But
there's like 1 or 2 you have to reread that?
I have to edit it.
Oh, okay.
So I have to listen to our thoughts all the time. But there's 1 or 2 lines that we point out specifically that are like, what the fuck? So I hope that comes back, dude. I would love that. Unless she fucking dies. A lead like becomes a witch and then does the yielding immediately. I'll kill myself.
The front door.
I'll end it all.
I hate it. Don't even fucking say that. That's not funny.
This was the last podcast.
Oh. I'm just saying.
Man, it's a shame I'll never finish the book now.
Damn. It would be crazy.
I have one more question. And I think the rest of them I can do with predictions. So about the gods. On page 50, I know before and a little bit after they were talking about how the gods aren't really gods. They're like aliens or whatever.
Yeah.
Which odd, but go off. But on page 50, they were talking about how the all-seeing one does not claim kinship with the other ones, the spineless creatures, Gavin growled. Dorian could have sworn a dusty, bone-dry wind rattled through the past. Then what is he? And then he says, can there not be many gods from many places, some born of this world and some born elsewhere? So, question, does that mean that some of them are aliens and some of them are actually gods?
I kind of picture for like the people who've come over from other planes that they're kind of like Superman, I guess, where he's like normal on his planet and then he comes here and he's like, oh my god, y'all are fucking weak as shit. I don't know. I wouldn't say it's alien. I feel like it's the same land, just different time periods. Except for like Maeve and shit like that, I guess. But I don't know if I would consider that alien.
I'm glad that you brought this up because that's actually where my questions are, is because there's a couple of other places where some interesting things are pointed out. One would be for me on page 284, where Dorian is talking to Caltaine about the other side. And she says that I am not allowed to say who dwells here with me. So that would almost make it seem like they're all kind of spectating this realm now after they die. She ends up also saying at the top here of the page that she knows that Aelin and Selena are the same person. And he's like, you know who she is? And she says that death has its advantages, which makes me feel like it's describing that they're almost spectating the realm after they die and they can see things. And then, of course, he goes on and says, I'm not allowed to say who dwells here with me. And Dorian responds with, who forbids you from doing so? If the 12 gods of this land were stranded in Aurelia, they certainly didn't rule over other realms. So they can't be the ones to tell her that she can't talk. And Keltaine's lips curved upward. I'm not allowed to say either. And when he opened his mouth to say more, she cut him off. There are other forces at work beyond what is tangible and what is known. So I'm wondering if maybe there's going to be some things in Crescent City that come into play here. Because then he goes to clarify other gods. And then
she didn't answer.
But moving on to the other piece, which is page 385, it's just like a throwaway line, but it calls for question, where at the very bottom of 385, it says they've taken out 2 commanders, but 3 more still remained. Not princes, thank the gods here, and the 36 in, the Kaganate, but Valg all the same. So thank the gods here and the 36, which means that they are in addition to, that they're not one and the same. They're not lumped together.
Yeah.
So then that would go to, and then we also go back to what you said in page 50, where he says the all-seeing one. So I'm just wondering who is a god and who is not a god.
Mm-hmm.
You're not a god,
and who is not, because we're getting a lot of this stuff, but none of it really makes any sense. I had watched a TikTok that had said, "Oh, you finished ACOTAR and then throwing a glass year break before going to Crescent City," and the person's like, "Whoop." And they made some faces and said, no, you need to go straight into Crescent City. So I'm wondering if there's a connection here with this piece specifically, and that a lot of this will make sense after we read Crescent City.
That would definitely be interesting because they don't have too much time left in this book or series really to give us a ton of, they've given us obviously a lot of gods and information and what do they do and what do they not do and why are they, like, we've gotten a lot of it, but at the same time, we don't know. Like, I almost wonder the bird that, like, Maeve, like, she trapped some, like, person and or spirit and or god. And they're also, like, a healing person. Like, are they actually Silva? Are they someone else? Like, are we actually going to be able to talk to one of the gods in person without going to some mystical temple and have a time limit? Like, what's
the
going
on? The stars are not in position for this kind of tribute.
Stars,
and the other thing
is, not today.
How does Aelin's mom talk to her in her head? Is that a figment of Aelin's imagination whenever it's going through because she's hysterical and going through some stuff? Or is that connected to this, other plane where they're spectating what's going on? And how did she cross the plane to be able to talk in her head? Unless it's Aelin having some hallucinations, in which case that's completely feasible. But I'm wondering, because it sounds like they're all spectating, that would mean that her mom was watching her, but how did she reach through the veil? And when Dorian was using the sword to bring about his ancestor, how did Caltaine answer the call? How did that work? Because if
Well,
they almost make it
everybody's
sound like
cousins or whatever.
But they're making it sound like you're channeling a specific person. That's why Aelin could always get Elena specifically on the spirit phone.
I think it's a different realm though, right? Because the dead people and the gods are in different, because like that's a separate area. Like Keltane said, it was like a different god, I guess, or gods maybe.
Like a different area code.
Yeah, you know. Well, in the same sense of like even Nehemia gave that message to Aelin earlier on of like, you're lucky I answered this call because anyone could. I think it abides by different rules potentially, because I do think that those two are separate. I do think that the gods that we're trying to talk to are like those other beings, and then like they said too, there's like maybe they've just been there for longer, who knows, there's other gods over other realms, that kind of thing. I did have one little thing with the whole mom scene with Aelin. Obviously it could be a drug-based hallucination, it could be a lot of different things. Do those like through going through those portals and doors internally for 3 months, like are you able to access other worlds through that way? But interestingly enough, I'm kind of curious. ACOTAR always had the mother, and she was the one that like when Nesta gave up her power to save Farah, she gave her a crumb of it back, and they're always called the mother. And I'm like, is there like a god or something along that line? Or would some spirit be taking that spot of the mother? Or would that be like a special, I don't want to say a special channel, but like there's a million gods. There's not a one god of like the moms. I really like the idea though, Aelin's mom being like the mother, or Aelin's power in some way, like going into that. That'd be really cool.
Well, I think there's definitely evidence to believe that this series in the timeline is in the past, and then ACOTAR happens, and then after that it's Crescent City. So yeah, they're on different planes and whatever, and it's on top of each other, but in different universes, whatever. But I think that this is still something that happened in the past, and then we have ACOTAR. I agree. I don't know. It's possible that that's the mother, or what if Aelin's the mother? Whenever she sassy. Whenever she has her kids and dies.
Yeah, because eventually she will go.
But she's still sassy AF.
You don't really get a sense of the mother's personality. You just see little moments, I guess. You know, her keeping a little crumb of that power to Nesta, which is interesting because Aelin burned with silver flames at one point. Oh my god! Like,
well, so did Keltane, which I think is interesting too. Where did that come from? Yeah. And we just never got back to it.
No, we're really busy.
Really busy.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of stuff to happen. So it's interesting. There's a lot going on. I almost wonder with Keltane too. Why did everyone pick her individually? Was it just her position and like who she was in the Throne of Glass book? Or is it Keltane has probably the most Vogue look of anybody, with the dark hair and the dark eyes and the look. Like, what's going on there?
I thought he knew that she had magic in her heritage.
But just having magic doesn't mean anything when...
There are a lot of people that did.
There's a lot of people that have magic.
And within his like proximity at that time too. So I am kind of curious why her. Does that tie into the whole god thing? Or is that just tie into... We know how Maeve looks with her dark features. Not saying he's trying to emulate Maeve necessarily, though that could be interesting. But is it more of like that's just what Valg women look like in his world? So like he just went for that?
Well,
is it that simple?
I'm so very glad that you brought that up. I think I know what they look like.
Baddies?
I think they're spiders. And I think that Maeve is a spider.
Great.
Yep. And I have the receipts. This is my big moment. Okay. Now, on page 5, the Dark Queen with a spider's smile tried to wield it against her. In the obsidian webs she wove, the illusions and dreams she spun, at the culmination of each breaking point, the queen tried to twist the memory of him in her mind. So that's pretty strong right there for spider time.
Is it like, do you think it's like how the fairies are, where like Aelin can be human and fairy, and like Rowan can be a bird and a human? Like, do you think it's, or not human, but you know what I mean? Do you think it's like that? Or do you think they're masking their true form and they're not actually able to transform in that sense?
Well,
I hate spotters.
So on page 184, It says, Maeve is saying, to a fair, lovely world where there was no war, no darkness, not like that which she had been born to or born. She was a queen there too, was able to hide herself within a new body so that none could know what she was beneath. Not who she was, what she was.
All right.
So that even her own husband would not recognize her.
So here's where I want to draw a line, and I want to say, fuck everybody for telling me that I overreact, because I've been telling you time and time again for 29 forever years that spiders are evil and they will crawl into your ears and take over your brain and walk you like a puppet.
That's always been
Don't
true, right?
fucking tell. Yes. See, right here in literal black and white. Don't fucking tell me I'm overreacting when I say we need to burn down the whole goddamn house when there's a fucking spider. I'm telling you, I'm trying to save the universe.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there like oh gosh, what game is it? Isn't it one of the Dark Souls game where there's like a spider lady and like the top like waist up lady and then the bottom waist down is spider?
Well, you got Dungeons and Dragons, and then you also have that was also in
Baldur's
Dragon
Gate
Age.
too.
I feel like that's what she looks like.
Half
You think
spider?
Half lady.
What's
But
that lady's name? Loth?
Loth was the
The travel queen lady.
yeah,
It's the spider lady.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's kind of what she looks like. That's what I picture in my head. But I think she's a spider. I don't think that she looks like.
Well,
I'm
glad we got Aelin. Aelin's super ready to burn the whole goddamn house down.
But they said a new body, which means she very well could have stolen it.
Like I said, they crawl into your brain and walk you like a puppet.
Wait. Okay.
No.
So we know that the whole spider thing with the shapeshifter, how when he agreed to give those years of his life, it took like a crumb of his like power, like that whole kind of thing. Because originally the gods kind of want them to send Maeve back and they're going to go fucking fuck her shit up over there. But if they kill Maeve, like that whole agreement with like the spiders and like their ability to take power in years from people, who did she take that from then? And then would that go back? And how would that change the original deal of the gods too? Is that why we did the whole shapeshifter, you losing years of his life to the spiders? And because and his powers were always weakened because the fucking spiders took it? Who is she really? I need to know.
A spider.
I don't know.
Spider, I hardly know her. Maybe.
I think that it's very possible that she stole the body. You know what? It's interesting. What if it's the body of the person who's the owl?
And then killing her brings back the other person?
I think it'd be cool if it was Silba, but I don't know if that's going to happen.
That'd be cool. I could take, I mean, she took the transformation powers, didn't she? So that would go back to the individual.
Oh, wait. What if Silba's the mother? She lived in a building that had something called the womb.
Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
That could be interesting, though.
That's what I'm thinking. I think that there's way more about that than we have even considered yet.
Yeah,
I think she's a spider.
This last part of the book's going to be crazy.
I agree.
Really, the only predictions I have are like, I feel like we're going to form the lock. I don't really know how it's going to happen. I do think that's going to happen, though. I just wish, I want Aelin to get the killing blow on Erewhon, honestly. Or Maeve, I guess, because Aelin didn't get to kill Arben. She didn't get to kill Karn or Karen, whatever the fuck his torturer name is. Like, there's been a lot of significant people. Like, she did get to kill the person who killed Nehemia. She did get to kill the person that killed Sam. All of those are great. Obviously, one of those is set up. But, like, the big bads in her individual life, she got to, like, other people have taken care of them for her. Not taken care of them for her, but the situation was like, you know, she's like, Lysandra, just fucking stab his ass, bro. I don't got time for this, you know? Like, go off. I want her to have the killing blow on at least one of those two. Like, she didn't kill the king. Like, there's so many people that, like, she has had reason to kill and a desire to kill. And I have yet to see it for, like, the big baddies of the series. Now, because she used her killing blow that she was going to use to take out Maeve, I almost am leaning toward it being Erewhon, maybe? I don't know if she'll be able to kill Maeve. I think maybe the Fae peoples, like the former members of her group, will be able to kill her, and I think that'd be a really good justified, like a revenge story. I would love if Fenris did it. I would love if it was Fenris, Lorcan, Rowan, like the whole fucking team taking her fucking ass out. I would love it, but I want Aelin to kill before she loses her powers for good, which is also my prediction, as we've been over. I want her to have one big killing blow on a big baddie and have it be a good moment, because I've been waiting for it for 8 books.
I think she's gonna kill Maeve. And there's the reason why I think that is because Rowan at one point sits down and talks about how much he wishes he could kill her, but that kill belongs to Aelin.
Will Erewhon kill Maeve and then she'll kill Erewhon then maybe? He's like, oh my god, you lied and like sent my brothers back and you did all this dumb shit? Though it would be nice if it was Maeve, as long as it's one of the big bads. I just want her to kill one of them. I don't ask for much. Like, just do it. But well, I guess we'll see.
Can I have a soapbox moment now?
Of course.
Okay. So I have 2 predictions. One of them is significantly smaller, so I'll start with that one. So we are looking at Adian on 391. I won't read the thing, but he got Aelin's dad's sword and Aelin's dad's shield. And I was like, I wonder if we're setting up for him to take over the actual country, because he's got both the sword and the shield now.
I don't know. I don't think that'll play
And those
out.
were like the actual like Doomaflachis for their little.
I think it's more he's a symbol of preserving
like their culture and stuff.
Yeah. I always took it as that. I don't think he's gonna rule.
No. I think Aelin's gonna be left with her little crumb of water magic and nothing else, and I think Adian will live as well.
Unless Aelin did go to rule, but she went to the Feylands. She went to Wendlin. They kind of threw out some random person. But if she ended up becoming if she left to go to Wendlin and she ruled that land and Adian took over Terrasen, that could happen. I don't think so, but it could.
I get him when we see it like the opposite. Like I feel like Aelin will always do Terrasen. But
that's what she feels is home.
Yeah, I could see her expanding and like giving another area to Adian as a thing for sure. But even with Rowan's scent being the scent of Terrasen, I don't think she's not going nowhere. If she living there. Like,
yeah,
I think she's kind of locked in. But it'd be interesting to see so many of her allies go to different areas.
Well, my soapboxy thing, it's going to be significantly shorter. I brought less receipts, but I brought 2. I brought 2 receipts.
Okay.
So on page 51, when Dorian was talking to Gavin and he asked him, "Am I human?" And Gavin just was like, "I'm not the person who can answer that question. I don't think he's human." So they were also talking, I didn't mark it in here, but he was talking about how previously his dad was the Vogue dude when he impregnated his mom. So theoretically, because he was freaking out thinking that his little brother that's why he's like a sociopath, is because he's got little Vogue monster blood in him or whatever.
Sure.
So if that's a thing, okay.
Which didn't happen with Duva, by the way.
Maybe because the pregnancy didn't come to fruition yet? I don't know how it works.
Maybe it's because that was a princess. Because Duva was possessed by a princess, a chick, and his dad was possessed by a dude. And, with the spermy dude shit.
Right. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
Look, it makes you feel awkward. We're going to move on. Anyways, so if that's a thing, and if his dad fucked his mom and got her knocked up, and boom, out came Dorian, and Dorian, who already has like non-human-y shit in his blood from like way back when, that's how he's connected to Aelin, because they're like
I love that they brought that up, by the way.
Because everybody's
like
27th cousins.
Yeah.
Twice removed or some shit. So that means that theoretically he could be part Valg. Now, what that would actually I think it'd be interesting was if he has that Fey blood in him, yes?
Yeah.
And we remember that that's how the witches came about, was that the Fey people and the Valg people, and they all like got it on. So could Dorian be a witch dude? A Blackbeak witch dude? And then the other receipt that I brought home.
He would be Krogan, wouldn't he then? If he had the Fey
I don't know.
ancestry?
But he has Valg from his dad. So my other receipt is on page 439.
Well, listen, I think he's a bird because he very clearly turns into a raven, so.
Oh my god.
When Asterin herself had gone quiet, he'd fallen deep into thought, mulled over all he'd seen in the Farian Gap, every twisted hall and chamber and pit that reeked of pain and fear. This isn't the only time it pops up, but he literally is smelling emotions, which is a thingy that the witch people do, which is also a thingy that the Fae people do and the demi-Fae people do, and all of the literally non-human people do.
Right.
I don't think Dorian is human. What he is, but I don't think he's human. I think he might be a witch dude, and I think he might be fixing to find out.
Yeah, it would definitely be interesting. I would like him to have something.
Is this how you guys feel all the time?
If he's half Valg, would that make him a Valg king?
Technically,
a prince, I guess.
Right? But he's also
a king. He's not a prince.
But yeah.
A princely king. He's a princely king. He's a kingly prince.
Right.
It just depends on whether or not that's by title or by.
Yeah.
If it's a different type of a personhood.
And he wouldn't be half Valg. He would only be like.
But he's 25%. Like one. But he's like 1/27th Fae.
No, but he'd be half if it was his.
But
dad.
If his dad's like 50% human, 50% Valg, because there's like another demon thingy in him, he would only get 25%. Right?
Unless the Valg was what impregnated his wife.
I guess it depends on how the dude stuff works.
I need a whole class on how the reproductive systems of this fucking world work.
That's what we need.
Because
Sarah, if you're listening,
please, we need to know how they reproduce, not needing them to reproduce.
I need to know exactly how things go on.
We need diagrams, we need graphic organizers.
Yeah, she's like, no, but they do have kids though. And I'm like, oh, okay, great. Can I at least see like people get married? And she's like, no, not that either.
They just do.
Okay, Sarah.
Okay. Can I see them make the baby?
Nope. Fade to black. Sorry.
I was thinking too, if he was part Valg, wouldn't the spider have sensed it?
Well, she is all like, blah, 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 whenever he's talking to her.
Wouldn't the witches have sensed it? Like, in a sense of, like, they have similar blood? I don't know. And then why would his powers need to be unlocked by Nehemia, then? Because he has this boundless, like,
but I think that it's the same thing with Elide, Elsie, Elvira.
Right.
She also has, I think, powers. Because of her witchliness.
Huh. I guess we'll have to find out. Hopefully we get a little bit more clarity on some of these for the end of the book, but I don't know how much we're going to get in this time frame. But it's a lot of interesting questions that, Sarah might have to go back in here and get us another book because what's going on?
Or maybe just come on the podcast.
Yeah, just a special invite to Sarah. I know you're listening. By all means, pop on in.
Just don't bring any spiders.
Unless.
No.
I'm sorry, Dorian Sarah transforms into a spider.
Sarah would have a lot to answer for. So,
yeah, honestly, she would feel very attacked. Probably. Probably not ideal.
I need to know more about the dog.
Oh my god.
You made the dog disappear. And then you made the dog disappear.
Speaking of that dog, I think it's your turn for Bay of the Day this week.
I have a not feeling the dog. I promised you. I promised you it wouldn't be the dog.
Go on.
So I know that you guys know that I like my chaotic picks.
Mm-hmm.
I like picking Bays of the Day, who I think were the harbingers of the plotline, the people who did the most to make the most happen. The book would not have moved forward without these people. These are the people that I mark as Bay of the Day.
Mm-hmm.
Rip Mort.
Yeah, is he okay? That's another unanswered question.
Yeah, that is a great unanswered question.
He's probably like super lonely.
No, he's fine. He's chilling.
So I have to say that it's very difficult to pick Bay of the Day right now because there's so many different smaller plot lines being moved forward at the same time, and they're also in different places in the world at the same time.
You can pick
but
Alien,
I think
don't be worried.
No. No. Fuck him. He could burn. So Bay of the Day, I think that the person who probably did the most heavy lifting with the plot this time around is probably going to be Fenris.
Mm-hmm. That's a good choice.
Because I don't think that Aelin would have survived without him there. And if Aelin did not survive, or, she gave up the goods, so to speak, I don't think we would really have much of a story. So I think that Fenris is probably the non-chaotic choice for Bay of the Day. The chaotic choice, of course, has got to be the little people.
Okay, great. I love that.
Because they never would have gotten out of the Fae world without the little folk.
That's also true.
No matter how much they wanted to, they would have just got caught again. Mm-hmm. So without the little folk, the story would have just ceased.
Yeah.
But I feel like Fenris did more work than the little folk. So
yeah, and they're both important to each other's like onward survival throughout the rest of the story. I feel like just knowing that they went through that traumatic event together in different ways, obviously. I mean, it's pretty integral to Aelin and Fenris's character, I think, forever.
Yeah.
So definitely a fair choice, and we love some Fenris in this house. Maybe Fenris and Lysandra can fall in love.
I'd be down for that.
Anyone else? Maybe Ren. We'll just Ren's fine. We'll bring Wesley back from the dead. Here you go.
I'd be cool with that.
Yeah. Guess we'll have to see. But it's a good choice. With that
Cuddle.
being said, though.
Oh. How do you think?
I'll allow it.
I'll allow it. Cuddle is
Are you
next.
sure I can't pick the dog?
You can pick whoever you want. Sure, Bay of the Day. You can already predict that Cuddle's next one will be Rowan, because you will be finishing out the series for the Bay of the Day. So I am positive that you will be making a choice of Rowan, unless something drastic
I don't think
happens.
so.
Yeah?
I don't think it'll be Rowan.
Keep us on our toes. We'll see.
It's going to be the dog.
Oh, God. It's always Fleetfoot every time.
That's Braxis.
Oh, my God.
The ground puppy and the sky puppy. Oh, we have three sky puppies.
We have like 1 billion, dude. We have all those fucking birds.
Now we just need a water puppy.
We have Lysandra.
She's a person.
Yeah, but sometimes she's like a sea wyvern.
And she's also a cat.
Yeah, she's just
not a puppy.
Let her be it all. You know?
I just feel like Lysandra is Bay of my life.
I agree.
Where's my Lysandra? I
can't wait for their reuniting. The niece, like Lysandra with her, like with Vulcan. Yes. And that's gonna be good.
I'll be Lysandra's Rowan.
Nice. Come in, rescue her. Like, don't talk this.
I'll be so nice and sweet. I promise.
Yeah, she's gonna make up with 80, and I'm sorry, guys.
No,
I'm sorry. Listen, we'll just have to go and see. But before we get too off topic here, I will go ahead and read us out. That way we can get to finishing this book and get on to some new fun reads for us all. But we want to thank you guys for listening. This, of course, has been Smutty Scriptures, reading Kingdom of Ash through part 1, which is through the end of chapter 67. Next episode, we are going to finish this out. We are going to read until the end of Kingdom of Ash and complete the Throne of Glass series. It's a little bittersweet. I'm going to miss Aelin and Rowan, but I'm ready to get into some new series for sure. I'm ready to try something new.
And thus we'll end season 1, our first season together.
Yeah, that's so crazy. Look at us making a podcast. Wow.
It is. Love you guys so much.
Yeah, it's so fun. You know, just it's a good excuse to read and then also hang out with the besties, you know, so ain't no problem. But speaking of us, you can get more content of all of us goofing around on all our social media pages. We do have a TikTok for Smutty Scriptures, an Instagram for Smutty Scriptures. Instagram is probably the best place to go because you can get links to everywhere else that we are at. We are also selling merch on the Etsy store as well. A lot of ACOTAR themed stuff, a lot of Den of Vipers themed stuff, a lot of some really cool designs that Cuddle and Purple are working on. I actually just picked up a hoodie myself. It's coming here, I think, tomorrow, or maybe 2 days from now. And I'm getting my first Smutty Scriptures jacket. I'm so excited to actually rep the podcast out and about. But if y'all want to, match the energy, that stuff is out there for you. But with that being said, church is adjourned.
Amen.
Hallelujah.
Oh my God. Goofy.